Well, you never know. Some people get really finicky about their names, right? So
Yeah.
BJ is an entrepreneur, an investor, and a whole bunch of other stuff, a record producer and musician. But before we talk about that, BJ, I want to talk about you and who you are and a deep-seated question. It's the question of the week that I ask absolutely everybody that comes on the show. If you can only have one sandwich for the rest of your life, what sandwich would you eat?
One sandwich forever. I like the turkey club, or chicken club. Actually, I think it would be a chicken club. Turkey makes me a little sleepy, so I like the chicken club with a little toast. I think that's, I like a meatball sub too, but I think the chicken club would have to go with.
What does that say about you?
I don't know. Because I like sandwiches like that. Well, I don't know. But you said only sandwiches, though. That was the only point. So,
just one. So yeah.
Yeah, I like toast, and I like, I don't know. I like a little bit of lettuce, a little bit of tomato. I like it to be crunchy and moist at the same time. Like a blend.
Okay. That works. So BJ, let's talk about you and what you do. You are an entrepreneur, an investor, a record producer, and a musician. Those four things don't normally go together, right?
Yeah,
on top of that, you're the CEO, you're a CEO, and you're also an influencer in personal development. So you're a bunch of everything. How does that all work?
So it's kind of just I'm being myself. I started off, on a journey, kind of essentially create financial freedom for myself, develop some businesses, create passive cash flow and, become, success, kind of what I saw the definition for is kind of have freedom of my time and, day and be able to do what I want to do. And, make enough money to support my lifestyle and what I want to kind of do. And, as things progress, I always kind of, I made music as a kid and stuff growing up, but like I always usually spent money on music, rather than like it never made me any money. It was always like kind of like a waste of money. I was working jobs or different kind of things and kind of investing money in that and never really worked out all that well. But over my, just life and in business, I was just really passionate. I needed to get people's attention, and I wanted people to kind of listen, and so what I started doing, I started using social media to kind of share my message and get more people and get more attention. And as I started building more influence and more, followers and engagement and, just building this community around essentially what I was talking about, it opened a lot of doors in terms of business and, having successes in other outlets. So when I realized, I had other successful businesses because of social media. And when I realized that when I was able to build myself into this, social media influencer and how valuable it was, for my life, I started actually doing it as a business, for other people. So then, that was business that I've been doing for quite some time where, we've been helping a bunch of different brands become major players, in the marketplace, building large engaged audiences around their mission and their message. So, and then, kind of go full circle is kind of, I've always kind of made music as a hobby and, as fun and stuff. But, because of our marketing expertise and my audience, I've been able to do is like, by sharing my music, I'm able to get a lot of people. Like I like to share positive, good content. So why not put my music out there? I kind of always like separating the two. I was like big on, I only wanted to be known as a businessman for a long time. But then after I kind of had, like, I feel like the success that I kind of thought I would have, I'm going to definitely have much more success, over the next, rest of my life. But I felt like I was kind of a notable businessman enough to feel like I could start doing the music side of things and kind of be myself. And I thought, I'm just being myself. And what I find is unique is like, there's no one really else like me. There's no one really else like you either, Jesse, so we just be ourselves and, I don't expect there to be any other real kind of CEO, like serious business people also, making music. I kind of went reverse, it's usually the other way around. People start making music, then they become a CEO. But I really see, I like marketing, and I like touching people and I like inspiring people. And if I can give them something, content that they can listen to on the regular basis and it brings value to their life, whether, maybe they hear something that they like, or maybe it brings them just a smile, brings happiness to their day. I feel like that's great, not only for them, but it's great for my brand too, because now they're feeling good while they're with their wife or they're with their kids and they're listening to the music and it just makes them feel good about me. And I mean, why don't you want to have people feel good about you? It's like, how could that be bad? So it's a bunch of different angles, I'm just kind of just being who I am, there's like no limits for me. I think a lot of people try to put themselves in a box. I realized that and I think they put themselves in a box because they're trying to figure out like what will be popular or something or what will be accepted. I kind of I'm a very creative marketer, and I can kind of get whatever I want accepted and make it trending. So I'm just gonna do me and, like, you know what I mean, and make it cool, you know.
It's I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of people out there that are afraid of what other people think, and you don't seem like one of those people.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you, Jessica, and say that I'd never have been that person. You know, like, I think we all kind of have points in our life where we might go through that and kind of, you know, and there's all different points, you know, where I didn't care, and then there was a point where this social media stuff, you start caring, you know, because you're more self-reflective, and then you're like, everything you put out, like, should I post this? Should I not post this? You know, and I think just over this whole time of, you know, just self-discovery and just kind of down this journey, I've realized that, like, being you is the best thing you could be, for better or for worse. You know, like, some people are going to love you, some people are going to hate you, but at the end of the day, to be a person to make people make that choice is really, you know, what you want to be. You know, you want to be that kind of polarizing figure where you stand for something, you know, for better or for worse. And, you know, there's going to be people that rally up behind you, and there's going to be people that despise you for it. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's what it is. That's life, you know.
That's pretty awesome. My personal journey actually reflects yours. I'm not half as famous as you are, but it really does. I quit a pretty decent job to become a stage hypnotist in Western Canada. Who does that?
Yeah, they probably, but everybody around you, I'm sure. Yeah, because even my first business, right? It was like it was merchant processing electricity. It was like a legitimate business, you know. And I was doing this social media. I was telling people, no, I'm going to start doing social media for people, and they were like, "What? Isn't that for kids? You know, like, you're a moron. Like, you got a good business here." Essentially, I had investors, all sorts of stuff. And I walked away from that essentially to focus on what I knew was going to be the next big thing. But they all looked at me like I was a freaking nut, you know. It's, you know, I am kind of a nut, but
I think to be in business, we have to be.
You gotta be. I mean, I don't think if you're not a little bit crazy, you're not going to get into business, you know, because all the signs essentially tell you that it's not going to work out. You know what I mean? It's just like, I think it's just faith and, you know, having trust in a higher power and not giving up is really what allows you to be successful, you know. So
absolutely.
I love it.
So a lot of people don't even know what an influencer really is. They hear the term.
Yeah.
What does being an influencer actually mean?
Well, I think a lot of people use it for a bunch of different, you know, reasons. And I think a bunch of different, you know, have connotations to it. You know, I think from my perspective, kind of what I've come to understand, you know, I look at it as someone who's been able to build a tribe around a particular brand, mission, or message, you know. And it's like, if you can influence people around a certain, like, essentially they're curators in a way too, right? You curate things to let people know what's good and what's not good, you know, in a way where you're a trusted individual. You know, you can let, like, people can trust your opinion, you know.
It's almost, sorry, go ahead. I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, yeah, that's pretty much done. That's essentially what you know, I kind of have come to understand it as, is that, you know, and I'm sure there's other people with other takes, but you know, from my understanding, you know, it's really just a tribe of people that, you know, that you tell them what's good and what's not good, and they listen. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's kind of way, if you want to simplify it. You know, I kind of look at it like a hive. You know, like each like there's a hive and there's a bunch of bees floating around the hive. Well, then there's also like the queen bee, or the queen bee is like essentially the influencer. You know, they kind of, all the other bees kind of revolve around it, and you can get different kind of information out there, you know, by being able to influence people or share something in front of a bunch of people, so then it actually, you know, manifests more in the, you know, the physical world.
So for the old people that watch, we're both relatively young. You're 30, I think, right? And I'm 35. So I have a lot of seniors that watch, and just so you know, that's what an influencer is. It's kind of like Walter Cronkite used to be. He'd put out the news, and people would use it, right?
Larry King is an influencer, you know, like, I mean, like any of those guys, kind of like, you know, a bunch of different people. I mean, Oprah, she's an influencer, you know. It doesn't necessarily have to be social media. It's kind of just people that are able to gather a bunch of attention of like-minded people, and they kind of become like the spokesperson for that essential, you know, ideology or mission, or, you know, kind of like they become like, they start to represent essentially more than just themselves, but more of a concept or an ideology or idea, you know. Essentially, I think you kind of look at it that way.
Awesome. I want to talk to you about Peace of Mind. That's your album. Am I correct on that? I just want to make sure I got the.
Yeah, it's my first single that I released. Actually, I haven't like released, I guess, officially an album yet. I've dropped a bunch of singles.
Okay.
You know, kind of just you know, just dropping music pretty regularly, actually. But yeah, Peace of Mind was my first single. It's done pretty awesome, and it was the first thing I've made a bunch of music, but it was the first thing I've actually really put out officially. I was actually screwing around on my phone, and I was recording things and stuff, and I actually recorded it on my AirPods, like in the closet, the first one, like in my apartment, and recorded it off my iPhone, and I could have been done better, but I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna put it out, and that's how I'm kind of been with things, anyways. It's just like, whatever, man, just put it out, right? And be authentically you. So like I put it out, and people actually really liked it. They gravitated towards it, and it kind of like, because I wanted to see obviously I got a lot of other responsibilities with running my companies and business and stuff like that. And I'm not going to put my time and energy into something if I don't really feel like it's going to be worthwhile, or I'm spinning my wheels, wasting my time, So when I put it out, and I was like half-assed, it was decent, but it was like half-assed, I did it off my phone. I was like, and then it got a great response. People really liked it. So I decided to do it officially. And then, and really the song itself, I mean, kind of how I was writing is like, the lyrics and the whole melody of the hook and stuff is really to, allow people, like I've always had a passion. This is like, I've always kind of seen this, like what I want to be. And I always wanted someone else to kind of do this for me, but I'm sick of waiting for other people. Right. So like, I'm just doing it myself. That's kind of how I am. You know what I mean? It's like, I wanted another artist to kind of like say the stuff that I'm doing, you know what I mean? But I always wanted music that would essentially be like a Jim Rohn speech, right? But a song, you know what I'm saying? But not Jim Rohn, but like the philosophy, you know what I'm saying? Like the personal development, how to make your life better, and how to, take action on your dreams, but do it in a trendy, kind of clever, sort of, and I've always kind of been that way, where I want to take personal development. I started really early on, like doing this, where I wanted to, I kind of started, and a lot of people have kind of taken it, like they use this term now, which is called like edutainment. I saw that as like being a big thing, is like, educating people through entertainment. And, you don't have to be so stiff in a classroom with a shirt and tie, like to get knowledge and education, like you can be whoever you want to be and be smart. I think that's one of the things that I like to share with people too, is that, it doesn't matter the way you look or how you act or where you come from. You can be educated, you know what I mean? And you can educate yourself, and the more you educate yourself, the better you end up,
That makes perfect sense. So you've already told me my next question, which was I was going to ask where the influence for that came from for the Jim Rohn stuff, or Jim Rohn.
Yeah. So Jim
Jim
Rohn always really told me about, learn, practice, teach, you know what I mean? And it's like, and that builds the foundation, to build a good nation. And I just always really have taken that to heart, and I want to just like, I want to learn as much as I can, and then, teach other people, practice it, and then teach other people,
That makes sense. So if you had
way, like I don't want to be a boring stiff, you know what I'm saying? Like who the hell, like young kids don't want to listen to, like it's hard, I'm sure. Like it was hard kind of for me. Like I love Jim and he's funny as hell, but like some of the stuff's a little bit hard for me to sit through, like, you know what I mean? But I did it because I had to, you know what I'm saying? So I try to like take this stuff and make it a little bit more, easy to swallow for, kids and young adults and, even people, our age.
The thing about that stuff, I listen to all the motivational stuff. I listen to basically everything at 2 times speed. So
I love that.
You actually speak really fast compared to most people. So this is good.
I'm from Connecticut, so like that's just how we do. We eat fast, we walk fast, we talk fast. This is what it is.
So I love talking to other people that are in the personal development space, because I really do love the personal development space, because it boils down to one thing, and that's always just take action on your dreams. That's the only way that you're going to have something good happen.
Well, it's like you're either standing in the corridor, right, or you get in the corridor. And like how I got started, honestly, what I'm doing now is not what I started off doing, but what I started off doing got me on the path to what I'm doing now. And I think a lot of people, they wait until they think they're perfect or everything's ironed out, everything's great. And if I would have done that, to be honest, I'd still be, in Connecticut selling copiers, being a nobody, you know what I mean? But like, I just took action, and I had no other, like, and I would have looked foolish from the outside looking in, you know what I mean? Like who's this guy think he is, you know what I mean? Almost kind of like, I must have kind of looked like a psychopath in a way, but I had a dream, and it wasn't negative, you know what I mean? Like I just wanted to help people, and I wanted to make the world a better place, and if you start from a good heart, and you just sow good seed, you're going to get a good crop. I really just kind of taken that, and just, it's true. It's like, you don't got to worry about what the future looks like. If you look at what seed you're sowing right now, it's going to tell you what the future looks like,
That's right. So if you could give, we're going to go on the personal development side. If you could give anybody a little bit of advice, just 30 seconds if you want,
Yeah.
what's the best advice you could give them?
I would say work harder on yourself than you do on your job, right? And have faith. I mean, real faith. Like, believe before you see. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think they have faith. They think they believe in God, but like they're asking how the tree grows. You know what I'm saying? If you're asking how the tree grows, you don't actually have faith. You know, like you got to sow the seed and trust that God will, you know, grow the tree for you. You know what I mean? So it's like meeting them halfway. A lot of people want to know how the tree grows before they start sowing their seed, and that's not how the world works. You know, God says, you take a step, I'll take 2 steps. You know what I mean? So start stepping, and you'd be amazed at the people and the world. The universe just opens up for you. You know what I mean? Declare what you want. You know, it's not a lack of receiving. It's a lack of asking for what you want. If you can be very clear at what you want, you'll be amazed at how it comes into your life. And it's just like, how did this happen? And the better you can, this is like a skill that you can become good at. Like, and the better you get at it, it starts getting a little creepy, because then you ask for something and later that afternoon you got it and you're like, how the hell? You know what I mean? And it's like, it starts getting a little spooky. You're like, I got to be really careful about what I ask for now, because, and I think when we start reflecting and we start thinking about what we're really at, because we say we want something, but then what are we really asking for? Because a lot of times we're asking for the things that we're afraid of, you know, because those are the things that are kind of obsessing about in our minds, because it's a lot of emotion with fear and that sort of thing. We're focusing and what we focus on grows. You know, so if we're focused on our fears, they're going to become more and more real. And even though they're not real, they're going to feel real. And then you're going to start actually sabotaging yourself. You're going to actually be doing stuff that actually is going to create the reality that you don't want, because you're so focused on it. So instead of focus on those fears, focus on the ideal situation. How does it look? And don't think I got to go do this to make it look this way. Just go straight to the source. So many people are thinking, sorry about that. I don't know if I probably.
No, that's okay.
But so many people are thinking that they got to do, like they want to do this, right? So they can have this, right? But that's not, no, just go right to the source. You know what I'm saying? Go right to it. You want that? Do that. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people think I want to have a business, so I got to go to college. What? Why? Like college.
That's the stupidest thing a person can do.
Yeah, and I'm not saying college is bad or what it is. It's appropriate for certain people, depending on what your goals are in your life, what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah. But like a lot of people think like I'm going to college because I want to do a business. Well, that's like one path over here, and that's another path over here. It's like, how are you going to be successful if you're trying to walk on this path A, but you're walking on path B? I mean, you're never going to get there. You know, I think another good thing that, you know, Jim always told me was, you know, it's not the blowing of the wind, but it's the set of the sail. You know, you got to set your sail, you know, and your sail is your personal philosophy, you know, where you're headed and what's your definite chief aim. You know, I think that's one of the best things that someone could have is write down what you're actually trying to accomplish, like a 20-year goal, 30-year goal. What's it look like? Well, like put some numbers to it. How many people have you impacted? How many money is coming through your organization? You know, and then when you realize is that it's crazy actually, because when you put that stuff down, give yourself 3, 4, 5 years, and you're going to look back at those goals that you thought were huge, and you're going to be like, damn, I was a real small thinker. You know, like I can't believe I wrote that. I thought that was a big number then. Are you kidding me? That's a tiny number. Like, it's only like a couple years, you know what I mean? But it's like, if you don't put that stuff down, document it, it's, you know, and it's not to criticize yourself that you were thinking small, but it's to reflect and realize like, a lot more is possible over the course of 10 years than you give yourself credit for. You know, I think people like, you know, this is kind of like a common saying now is like, I think people overestimate what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10. You know, it's like results. I don't care if I was to start a fresh brand right now today, I have a lot of influence and I've honestly built a lot of businesses from scratch. I really know what I'm doing, but it would still take me time to make that a success. I don't care what it is, right? A lot of people don't give themselves enough time to make it work. You know, I mean, even from a personal perspective is, you know, when I started and when I actually started Avasite, which is the marketing company for personal brands, I did that for a long time as myself, you know, but like that was cool. Like I was doing the back end fulfillment for other marketing companies and I was kind of like the ghost, you know, but it's like, and that was cool, but I was only branding myself as myself. I didn't actually have like a brand in a business, you know, like I had a team, but it was just like me. So like I saw the long term and I saw that this is cool. I'm making decent money, but if I build a brand, now I got something that's real legitimate and going to be long term sustainable, you know, but just because I was already like, quote unquote famous and had a, you know, solid audience and already been successful and already didn't like, I still was starting from scratch when I started Avasite because it has its own, it's got to build its own equity. I can only give it so much. You know what I mean? So I think if that's the case for me, who's already gone down this road for a long time, and I still gotta, you know, it took me time to ramp it up and to make it a success again, you know, it's going to be the same thing. If you're starting from scratch, you can't like think, hey, I've been doing this for 6 months and I'm not rich yet. Like I'm gonna pack up and go home. Like that's honestly 6 months time period is like, that's when it's going to get the hardest on you. Like if you start anything, you're serious about it, it's going to get real hard 6 to 8 months. But if you can stick through that 6 to 8 month period, the 12 to 14 month, you're actually going to start probably making some bread. Or the 10th month, you're going to start making some more money than you've ever made in your life. And you're going to be like, holy shit. And then you know what? There's going to be other times like the 18th month, probably going to be a little difficult again because you get a little fat, dumb, and happy. You start getting full of yourself, start spending your money before you actually, you know, got it, you know? And it's like you end up in this whole situation. But then, you know, you learn these lessons or you go home. You know what I'm saying? Like shit, you know, you either learn. That's what I love about business. You know what I mean? It whoops the people that don't learn. You know what I'm saying? It gives you the opportunity. It's not like if you make a mistake, you're done. You know what I'm saying? But if you keep making the same mistakes, you're done. You know what I'm saying? So you got to keep like adapting and keep growing and just becoming better. No one expects you to be perfect out the gate. Instagram, Facebook, all these things, like any business, it was shit. Think about Instagram in 2010. A lot of people would have been embarrassed. Like I'm sure there was plenty of people that could have put out an app like Instagram in 2010, but they were embarrassed by how it looked. And I'm sure Instagram was a little bit embarrassed by how it looked too, but they got it out there. They started building that equity. They got ahead of everybody else. And now in today's world, they got $1 billion company. And the thing is like this whole marketplace, it's all these advanced features and shit, but you can't be Instagram 2020 and you got to be Instagram 2010 before you're Instagram 2020. And if you're right now and you're just starting off, be who you are and build that up, but don't wait until you're perfect. You're not perfect. No one expects you to be perfect. Only people expect you is to get better. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. You know, one of my mentors, he's an entertainer. He's a juggler. It's weird, but he says that 80% and out in the world is better than 100% and it never leaves the desk. And it's absolutely true. If you don't get stuff out there, it's never going to grow.
Never grow.
We're at 22 minutes.
You know? Yeah, you could be the you could be the best person, you could have the best service in the world, but if no one knows about it, then I mean, it doesn't matter. You know, you'd be better off like. And I was always kind of philosophy anyways, you know, you're better off having the problem of having too many people to serve and you can't deliver, you can't serve that many people, you know what I'm saying? Then sitting around with all this product or all this service and crickets, you know what I'm saying? Like people, they always want to say, they thinking, how do I get this investor to invest in my idea, right? It's like, you don't need an investor. You need to go sell it to people. Like, what is your idea? What's the product? How does it solve a problem for somebody? And now go show them how that solves a problem. They'll give you money without having to ask. If you got a real solution, you want to do some product market research, right? Go sell it. If you can sell it before you buy it, guess what? It works. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, just do that a million more times and like build distribution outlets. I think a lot of people like the key, if you look at McDonald's doesn't make the best cheeseburger, right? But they got the most distribution outlets of cheeseburgers. So they don't actually, McDonald's is not even selling cheeseburgers. They're selling a system of selling cheeseburgers. You know what I mean? So
that's right. I agree. Before we end off here, you have a goal from what I was reading. You want to help 100 million people?
Yeah, create financially
free.
Yeah, I started this goal a while ago, and that's kind of what I was touching on earlier when it comes to definite chief aim. That definite chief aim actually completely changed my life. I got to be honest with you. I wrote it down in 2015, and the things were like kind of going a little bit good for me, like a little bit. I was getting different things, but once I wrote that down and got that really clear, you know, things started opening up for me, and, you know, beautiful blessings that started coming from all over the place. That's when I started learning how to build online businesses, and a whole bunch of different things started happening. And, you know, I always keep that kind of really, you know, and it's been an interesting journey. I've definitely helped a lot of people directly and indirectly. You know, I've turned some people, I feel like, into almost like, you know, like kind of like Frankensteins in a way too, where it's like you help some people and it's like that doesn't, you could almost help some people where they end up hurting other people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but, you know, we've been learning, growing pains and all sorts of stuff. But, you know, I really like, you know, when I started that, man, I saw that there was a major issue. I kind of seen this whole thing, you know, with like what's going on with the COVID now. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I kind of saw many years ago something that was going to happen that was going to be similar or something like that. And and I saw the only way for us to actually have freedom as humans and people is to really help people build, passive income in different ways and help people make additional money outside of just a wage labor job. Like wages really don't work, you can make a decent living maybe, but even in the future, you're going to have to make profits, you know what I mean? So I've always been real passionate about, not only sharing that and coaching people how to turn their passions into, profits, but I also like to, help people make profits with my passions, you know what I mean? And they can distribute what we do and they can make money with us, we don't work with everybody. I used to like to work with everybody, but I found that you can't necessarily, you can only help those that want to help themselves, and you can't really open yourself up to just kind of having a free for all where, everybody come, because that opens you up to a lot of liabilities, opens you up to a lot of, not everybody can be trusted, and I think that goes back to, Jim used to tell me this too. He said, all the good that you start will try to be invaded. To not think so is naive. If you start a good crop, there's going to be bugs, there's going to be weeds, there's going to be that kind of stuff. And to kind of just sit around and say, I don't see any weeds, I don't see any weeds, I don't see that the weeds aren't going to disappear. You got to go pull them weeds out.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Before we end off, where can people find you? This has been a great interview. I'm glad that you chose to talk.
You're an awesome interviewer, man. I'm really glad you had me today. And you had some really fantastic questions, and I'm glad we talked. I hope I wasn't too long-winded, and I hope people got value from this. Where they could definitely find me is, at BJ Clock, on all social media. So BJKLOCK. You can find me on anything, man. I got podcasts out there. I got music on Spotify, iTunes. I got personal development stuff. I got songs for you to listen to. I got an ebook out there called How to Get Started When You Got Nothing. If you want some simple principles that are going to help you, essentially, if you're starting from scratch and you're just looking, how do I get that momentum to kind of start building this foundation? It's a great ebook. It's only 7 pages, but it's real practical. It's a working manual. I didn't want to give some, everyone kind of gives you fluff and it tells you how great you are and why you should listen to me, yada, yada, yada. Nah, I'm just going to give you what the hell helped me. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's all I'm about. Is if I find something that worked for me, I'm down to share it, because, if it worked for me, it will hopefully work for you. And, and if I help more people, what harm can it be by helping more people create freedom for themselves? You know what I'm saying? I feel like at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that are organized that want to take freedom away from us. You know what I mean? So we need to be organized in the effort of freeing people. You know what I'm saying?
So I am going to ask you 2 more questions, if I can, if that's okay.
Go ahead, brother. I gave you a whole hour. I didn't know we were only a half hour. I had a whole hour blocked off.
Oh,
so we're good.
Oh, well, guess what? We're going to do an hour then. If you're willing to do an hour, I'll do an hour.
You keep singling at me.
Okay, so what do you mean by freedom? A lot of people think that freedom is owning a yacht, blah, 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 that type of stuff. What do you actually mean when you say freedom?
That's funny that you say that, because I think there's a lot of things that actually people think are the freedom, like the yacht and situation, right? Which actually takes away from real freedom, And I think freedom, at the end of the day, you want to keep it real simple. It comes down to, sorry about that, comes down to choice, right? Freedom is choice at the end of the day. And, if you have options, and you can do, you have the option to do different things, that's freedom. And the freedom to do what you want to do, as long as you're not infringing upon other people's, will and things of that nature. Freedom to manifest what you want to manifest and live your life how you want to live it, and make the choices how you want to make choices. And by developing different brands and doing things a certain way, living your life a certain way, it just gives you more options. We all have things that we have to do, that, it's really hard. I've tried, trust me, I'm really good at this, but there's still things sometimes that, I guess you got to kind of spin it though too in your mind, right? For instance, don't ever look at things like you have to do them, right? You're doing them because you want to do them. Even if you do kind of have to do them, you're still doing it because you want to do it. You always have the choice, so I think we give up our power too easily. We start thinking that a lot of our decisions are out of our choice, or because we're a product of our environment, or, this, that, or this thing happened to me. And we give up that power and say, you know what, I have the power to make the choice for me. I'm not going to give it up to some government official. I'm not going to give it up to my boyfriend or husband or my girlfriend. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? I'm just going to make this choice for me because it's what's best for me, you know? And I think taking that personal power and deciding what you like, what your likes and dislikes are, you don't have to like everything. You're allowed to not like certain things, but being discerning of that and realizing what is for me and what isn't for me. And I believe that's actually really freedom, is understanding that, like, what do I want my life to ideally be like, and then go and create that. And, you know, honestly, when you get there, the first time, it's probably not even, it's funny because you think you want a lot of things, and then when you actually get them, you're like, man, this isn't even what I was actually after. I thought XYZ was going to get me WQ whatever. And it's like, that's not how this shit works. You know what I mean? Like, go after what you're actually after. Don't think that you need like $1 billion to like be like, you know, successful or rich or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's different strokes for different folks. You got to really get to the, you know, to the nitty gritty of, you know, why am I after what I'm after? You know what I'm saying? So many people are after the how, you know, and the how of how do I do this, right? They're stuck. They're like, how do I do it? And the thing is that they're stuck is because they don't have that why. Like, if you had a powerful enough why, the how is actually going to show up. It's just going to show up on your doorstep. And I know it sounds crazy, but like, get yourself a why you're doing something, and the how is just going to, like, honestly, how I do what we do now, people ask me all the time, like, because I can make, like, I've grown so many social media accounts to millions and, you know, made a bunch of things viral. Everybody always like that. Isn't that the first question? How do you do it? Honestly, I say God, okay, because that's really, it's God, it's faith, right? It really, I mean, there's obviously a bunch of different technical things, but really, if you want to be honest of how I do it, it's God, faith, and just in believing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how I've always got it done. It's because the why supersedes the how. Why I'm doing this, right? The 100 million people and the free fucking humanity. I'm sorry for my, but to free humanity. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like that's really what I'm, you know, that's what I'm after. So like the how, God has given me these tools. You know what I'm saying? Because he knows why I'm doing it. You know, if I was just like, I want to make people famous online, you know, and that's just like, how am I going to do it? That's never going to happen, bro. Like, you're never going to get the tools because you're playing on some level down here that's not even a real level. You got to be playing up here. Like, what am I trying to contribute to the world? And then trust me, man, God's going to move mountains for you.
That makes sense. By the way, the F word's perfectly fine. The only word that I ban is the C word.
Oh,
that's the one I don't want.
Use that one, period. Yeah, a couple F-bombs. You know, I come from an Italian household. You know, like, you know, it's like, you know, there might be a couple F-bombs that get dropped. But that's just me being passionate, you know.
If the truth is, if we don't swear, we're not being the real person we are. So there's no point in not swearing.
I don't mince words, man. You know what I mean? I just say what I feel. And I also think it's kind of corny too. I do see some people out here that like it overuse that word essentially just to like try to be cool or something. And I think that's corny. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you can use an F-bomb for emphasis, you know what I mean? And there's certain times where it's natural, but just to be saying swear words just to like try to be cool or relevant or trendy, I think it's kind of, you know, dumb.
Yeah. So I had a dumb question for you. Maybe it's not a dumb question, but when you talk about the why, for instance, I'm going to use my show as an example. This show is tiny. I got 185 followers today. Woo, whoop-de-doo, right? But the thing about that is I'm growing them for a reason. My why for the show was to give people a break from this COVID stuff. And I'm not sure if I'm going to continue it afterwards. Just give people a 10, 15-minute break where they can have a conversation and hear a conversation between two people, right?
You did it, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you had a why, and then you did it, right? Like, if you were like, it's like, this thing's pretty cool, the StreamYard thing we're using, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know how we're set up here, but like, you went and then all these hows presented themselves because you had the reason of why. And the why came from, service to others, right? If the reason why, Jesse, was, I want to get more popular and I want people to, you know, look at me, you know what I mean? Like, then it wouldn't even be working, you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't have been able to get me on the show. You wouldn't have been able, you know what I mean? We wouldn't be getting other people in. It just wouldn't jive. You wouldn't even have enough motivation to even put this whole thing together. I mean, you got a nice logo here. I mean, you got some cool shit going on. But I like it. But the only reason though is because it's bigger than you. You know what I'm saying? If it was just about you, Jesse, it's like, who the hell gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, like, but you made it bigger than yourself, and you're doing something for other people. And by doing that, now you're going there's all this extra benefit that comes from that. It's essentially kind of like this all byproduct, right? Where you're going to get, there's value that's going to come to you because you give and then you shall receive. You know what I'm saying? You ask and then you receive. So it's like, once you give, you give this value of how am I going to serve people? I think so many, like early on, and this is why I had a real passion about this, right? Because I always wanted to help people since a little kid. I don't know why. I just had a passion for helping people. But I was always told essentially that I had to go to school, get good grades, get a good job, get rich. Then once I had enough money, then I could start helping people. That's literally what I was told and taught. And I believed that as a kid. And I'm like, but then when I actually started talking to rich people, right? And it was through YouTube and like through different MLMs and like different CDs that I won, or, different kind of shit that, would end up, just kind of coming. And I'm listening to these people who have the life that I really want. And they're telling me, just serve people. Like solve problems for people and you make money. Like the key, like you want to know the secret to money? Solve a problem for somebody, you can make money. You can go make $1,000 today. Go solve a problem that's worth $1,000, or go solve a $10 problem for 100 people. You know what I'm saying? Like go solve a problem and you'll make some bread. I mean, that's at the end of the day. And they had me all confused. I thought I had to make a whole bunch of money before I could start solving problems. And so when I realized that's when I kind of got this fire in my belly, because I feel like I was duped for a lot of my life, where I felt like I was told something that wasn't true, because it was no fault of anybody. They just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know what you don't know, but I don't want to let that happen to anyone else. You know what I mean? I want everybody to realize coming out the womb that, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, let's figure out what are you passionate about, right? What niche and area of interest do you got? And then what problem can you solve in that space? Or who can you help distribute a solution in that space? And who can you help who already has a banged up solution? Who can you help distribute that solution into the marketplace and make yourself a fortune? You know what I mean? So the key is about solving problems, I grew up thinking that the only way out of our neighborhood was, selling drugs and, rapping and playing basketball, you know what I mean? Or going to college and getting good grades. Like no one told, I never thought in a million years I'd be selling social media. You know what I mean? Like,
social media didn't exist.
I know. So it's like my
social media didn't exist back then. It existed, but it wasn't what it is now.
Exactly. So how I've gotten on this path of everyone always asks like how you do what you do, and it did start from the why. I'm telling you, that's all it is. It started from why I'm doing this, is that no one can stop me, honestly, like at the end of the day, because the why is so strong and it's real too. It's not like I'm just making this shit up to like feel good. And it's like a real thing that comes from a real place. And that's why actually I don't even care anymore. Cause everyone, you do it long enough in business, people are going to screw you. People are going to try to take advantage. People are going to try to bite the hand that feeds them, all of those sorts of stuff. Right. But when you do things, you don't even need to do anything to these people, because when you do something from a real, authentic place of service, those people are going to get so smacked by the universe that you don't even have to do nothing. It's just the universe just takes care of them, kind of comes through and just cleans them out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know if you want to call it God, the universe, whatever. But there is,
karma.
You believe whatever you want. Karma, you can call it whatever you want. But there is this universal kind of force of law of cause and effect of if you sow good, you're going to get good. But if you sow that, what they call that the whirlwind, man, you're going to get a whirlwind. You know what I mean? If you just sow in crappy seed, just, all over the place, man, you're going to get hurt, and I think a lot of people get hurt and then they think it's everyone else, or they're trying to make excuses for the hurt instead of realize, okay, I'm hurt. Why am I hurt? And then reflect on kind of what decisions we made, what seeds we've been sowing. A lot of times, if you want to look at why your life is the way it is right now, just look back over the past year or two and look at the seeds you've been sowing.
That makes perfect sense. A lot of people, specifically traumatic events, they look at themselves and they say, oh, this is somebody else's fault, somebody else's fault.
Yeah, well,
and they don't take the initiative.
The whole event that we're kind of experiencing. Yeah, especially now with this whole event we're kind of experiencing. I feel like there is some people, they like things, like when one thing happens, you got a choice, right? Some people are going to go one way. Some people are going to go another way. You got the choice, right? Some people are using this as an excuse. Like, oh, well, I don't got to pay my rent. I don't got to do this. I don't got to do that because this whole thing is outside my control and I can just cash it in, right? And there's other people that are like, man, this is my shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been waiting for that one time, that one moment, and now I got it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so You can be you, and you as the individual, the watcher, the person right now, right? You can be whoever you want to be. You know what I'm saying? The thing is that a lot of people are waiting to figure out what their gift is, right? God gave you one gift, the gift to choose. Right? Choice. That's the gift he gave you. So go pick what gift you want and then go rep it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't start off good at the piano. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get a sales. Man, I could sell anything. Like, honestly, that's why I do what I do, because I could sell anything. But I love what I do. I love helping people. Honestly, I could sell anything. But when I started off, the first door I ever knocked on, okay, I forgot my name. Okay, the lady answered the door. I forgot my name. I'm looking there at her like an idiot. And the guy that I'm out there with, like my trainer, he's like, yeah, hey, this is Brian. You know, he sometimes forgets his name. Don't mind him. You know, he made her laugh. And he ended up actually selling the lady, right? And that moment, I talk about this moment occasionally. I still bring it up to the guy, you know, because this moment actually really did change my life in a way where it was like, I was like, wow, like, you know, like shit, I was so nervous. I'm sweating. My palms are sweating. And this guy cracks a joke, makes her laugh. We get money in exchange. We provide value to her. You know, we reduced her, you know, cable services. Probably we saved her $100 a month or whatever, and you know, made a couple of dollars for ourselves, and you know, went about our day. You know, but it was like, you know, but the thing is, now I can sell. You know, I could sell anything consultatively, but it happens because I've been repping for. I've been 12. I mean, I've been selling since I was probably like 14 years old. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I got 16 years of experience. I'm gonna be freaking good. Whatever you do for 16 years, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, for better or for worse, you know, I smoke. Okay, so I roll my own stuff. Okay. Well, I can roll a really good joint too, you know what I'm saying? But that's because I've been doing it for 10 years. But when I first started off, I had to sit at the desk and I had to like flip it over, and you know what I mean? I looked like a moron and it wouldn't even hit, you know what I mean? It's like, it's all shitty, and it's like, but if I would have just quit when I was shitty, I wouldn't be good now, you know what I mean? So it's like, you could be anything, man, you know? I taught myself how to blow smoke rings. How did I do that? By practicing, you know what I'm saying? So I think too many people don't give themselves enough time in the whole practice arena to even know if they're good at it or not. You know what I'm saying? Go throw a couple fucking balls around and see if you're good. You know what I mean? Don't be so negative on yourself thinking, oh, I could never do that. Why? Why could you never? You know what I'm saying? Like, always question yourself. Why couldn't you do that? Because you could do it if you really wanted to. You're not going to do it because you don't want to, but don't think you couldn't, because you could. You just don't want to. And there's difference. You know what I mean? Differentiate between that, because you can do anything that you actually want. You can, but you don't want to, and that's okay. You don't have to want to either. Just get clear on what you do want to, and then go do it. You know what I mean? Because that's and not for me. I don't give a shit. For you, because it's going to make you happy. I'm telling you up. I mean, I made a lot of money. I've done a lot of things. I've helped a lot of people, right? But I got to be honest. If I'm not helping people, I'm not serving people, and I'm not doing what I'm meant to do, I get sad, bro. I get depressed. You know what I mean? And it's like, and then you want to have some real problems? Be depressed when you're rich. You know what I'm saying? Depressed when you're poor. Everybody expects you to be poor, you know, be depressed. But if you actually start making some money and you're still sad, who do you got to complain to? Nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? You can't tell nobody, oh, I don't feel good. They're like, oh, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, you know, you always got problems no matter where you're at. You know what I'm saying? So just focus on what you want to create, and don't focus on what you fear. You know, I think that's the best thing that you could do.
BJ, this has been one of the greatest interviews that I've done. It's one of the most inspirational. I want to thank you for being here. I have another interview in 7 minutes, so I do have to let you go.
I love it, Jesse, man. You keep.
I'm going to give you one.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you one last question.
Yeah.
What have you done for yourself today? Not anybody else. Just one thing you've done for yourself today to make yourself happy.
That's a good question. So one thing I've done for myself, I'm always working on my personal brand. So, you know, I got a couple, you know, I did a couple things for my personal brand. You know, another thing I did for myself, I called my mom, you know, you know, I might have done that for her too, but it was, you know, it was for me too a little bit. You know, it's nice to get in touch with the fam, and you know, they live across the country, so I don't get to see them as often as I would like. But you know, so I guess that's a couple of things I did for myself today. I haven't eaten yet though. I'm about to go do that for myself in a couple minutes.
Dude, it's like
I know,
5 o'clock there. Holy cow! You need to
this is what I gotta tell you. Yeah, no, bro. Honestly, and the thing is that I could have eaten, but it's just like I get going, man. I got to tell you too. Honestly, people, right? When you start doing what you love to do, and you're really just doing it, and you're just in that cycle, right? You can get a whole bunch of work done. And you don't even think about food. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm starving myself. I'm just not hungry. You know what I mean? I'd rather be on here talking to you, giving value to people, and then you know what I mean? I'll eat when I eat. You know what I mean? I'll eat when I'm dead. How about that?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because when I do these interviews, I wake up at 8 in the morning, and I don't eat till 5 o'clock at night because I'm
just in the
focused
zone.
on this.
Yeah, just get in the zone, man.
Yep. BJ, where one more time people can find you online all over the place? I'm sure I've got links somewhere.
Yeah, just Google me, BJ Clock. I mean, bjclock.com will take you to my knowledge panel. Clock.me. I mean, just BJ Clock. Just Google it. I mean, you'll see all my, all my stuff, all my social media handles. There's no other BJ Clock. I am the only one, and actually, that's why I even go by BJ Clock, because my real name is Brian. But there's another gentleman by Brian Clock, and I was tired of kicking his butt in the SEO stuff, so I just let him have that. I figured I would become BJ Clock, and be my own man. Because he looks kind of like me creepily too. He's like 20
awesome
older than me, and he looks kind of like me. So I was like, nah. Look it up. Look up Brian Clock. When you see the guy, you're gonna be like, damn, he looks like Brian's older uncle. You know what I mean? So I was like, man, it's BJ Clock. So I'm BJ Clock. I'm not Brian. All right. And it's a pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me, huh?
Awesome. Thank you, BJ. I'll let you go and broadcast.
All right.